Welcome to Chapter 5, Part 1, The Basics. You are to go to Google Classroom and download the Class Activity 1-1 workbook. You're going to open it up and you may do the activities that I do in the video at the same time as you're watching, or you may wait till you get to the end and then follow and do the activities. I suggest that you pause the video and work the worksheet as you're going through the video. It'll be a little bit easier and you won't have to remember all the steps. All right, so you are free to pause the video whenever you need to. You can do it after each thing I do, each step I do, or you can do it after a series of steps. It's up to you. Right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to learn how to merge cells, M-E-R-G-E. I'm going to go up to A1. This is the title of my document, so I am going to merge that so it goes all the way across to column D1. So D1, A1. I'm going to do that by putting my single left click on A1, and then see how I have the solid or the 4 cross. Then I'm just going to drag that across, and then I'm going to go up here underneath the alignment ribbon, and I'm going to click on merge and center. Notice that it merged and centered all my cells, and it centered it. If I want to unmerge, I click on the drop down next to the right of merge and center, and I unmerge. Merge. Now the title usually has larger font size than the rest of the document. So before we do anything, I'm going to change all this because notice that, like in Word, Calibri is the default and size 11 is the default. Well, I want to change this to either Times New Roman or Arial or 12. To do that, I find my letter A, I go to the left, and there's a square right above number 1. I will select it. That will select my entire workbook. Then I come up here and I can either choose Arial or Times New Roman. It's up to you what you want. And then I'm going to go to the font size and I'm going to select 12. That will change it for my entire document. So wherever I click, notice it is now Arial size 12. Now I want to make the heading just a little bit bigger. So I can go either to my font size and select it, or I can click on the big A and it will increase it. Notice it went to 14. You are also free to add a color, and it can be any color that you want, and also you can bold. Oops. If you decide you don't want your title centered, I just come up to the alignment section. I find my aligned left, and I click on it, and now it is on the left. It's up to you whether you want it centered or if you want it left aligned. Now we're going to come up to A3. You notice when I click in A3, there is nothing in my formula bar. That means this cell is empty. Even though June looks like it is inside A3, if I look at my formula bar, I can see it is not there. If I click on B3, notice that I can see that June expense budget is only in cell B3. If I click on C3, there is nothing in my cell bar. That means the June expense budget is existing only inside B3, and it's overlapping A3 and C3. So we're going to fix that. We're going to select B3 and C3 together. Then I'm going to say merge and center. Now you notice if I click off, there's nothing in A3. June expense budget is in B3. And it's also, since I merged and centered it, it's also in C3. Remember, you may pause the video at any time to go ahead and do the steps that I'm doing. Then if I click on A4, my formula bar is empty. If I click on B4, I have budgeted amount. But notice I don't see the budgeted amount. So there's something I can do here to fix that. I can say, okay, we're going to wrap the text so that wrapping the text means that I can put it on 2 lines. So I click wrap text, and you notice now it is on 2 lines. And then I can come up here and say center, because I usually want my headings to be centered. Now here's the great thing, just like in Word, I can go up here to my Format Painter, click on it once, come into C4, select it, and you notice that it automatically changed C4 to look just like B4. So the Format Painter tool allows you to copy formatting and place it in another cell. That way it's faster. So we have now wrapped our text in both B4 and C4. The next step, we are looking at a June expense budget. We kind of want that to stand out a little bit. So instead of making it larger, I think I'm going to italicize it and I'm going to add a color. I might even bold it. There we go. Now notice that it's kind of hidden a little bit. So I can do some kind of adjustment here. I can go up here and let's say, I'm going to click on that boundary line. Let's make the width 1114. And let's go to C boundaries lines, and we want to make that 1114 too. Now if we look, that looks pretty good, but it's still a little bit small. So let's make it 1143. And there it's getting a little better. But notice everything adjusts accordingly. All right, now notice that my sponges and towels doesn't show up on it very well. If I go up on my boundary line between A and 4, I can drag this to, let's do it to 1929, and then now it is displayed. Remember that Arial font is larger than Times New Roman font. So sometimes if you used Arial, some things might display better in Times New Roman than it does Arial. Now let's look at sum. We talked in the word screen video, the fastest way to add is by using our auto sum. We want to add B6, B7, B8, B9, and B10 to get our formula. So I put my cursor in B11. This is where I want my formula. I come over to my auto sum. I click sum, and you notice that it highlights it. I just have to check my cell reference, B6 through B10. That's exactly what we want. I'm going to hit enter. Now I'm going to go and click on B11, and Excel has another wonderful feature that when you want to drag a formula and use it in the second column, for example, in B11, I have my formula. I'm going to use the exact same formula in C11. Now I could go over to AutoSum, but there's a little quicker way to do it. If I go down here, you see in that little corner right there, there's a little black box. If I put my cursor on it, I get my cross to change to a black solid cross. I hold my clicker down and I drag across, let up. It will copy the formula. This is called relative cell formulas. So I can use a formula as long as I'm adding up the same cells in each column. So since I'm adding up the same cells here and here, I can use my fill handle. So that's a quick way to do it. Now let's go to maximum. I want to find the maximum number between B6 and B10. Right? I want to find what my maximum. Now, because this exercise, you can look and see that $50 is the maximum number. But think about if you had a whole series of like a column that had 500 numbers going down the page. It'd be very difficult to find your max. So Excel provides a feature called maximum. If I go to my auto sum and click on the drop down, max will allow me to find the maximum number. So I'm going to click on it. The maximum number would be the highest. Now remember, we only want to check for numbers B6, B7, B8, B9, and B10. Notice that B11 is also included in my max number. Well, I don't want that. So I either can click inside and change that to 10. I'm going to hit escape. So let's do this again. I can change this number here to 10, or I can re-click and drag down and hit enter. Oh, sorry about that. I can come up here, re-click, and just drag down, hit enter, and now I see that my maximum is 50. Now, because I am adding up the same series of cells that were in the B column in C column, I can use my fill handle and drag across. So it's telling me my highest number here is 43. Minimum would be the lowest. So I'm going to go over to my AutoSum, click on min. I check my cell reference. Notice that it says B12. I want to change that to B10, and I can hit enter. And then I can copy using the fill handle. And notice that that will be my lowest number. Now we want to find the average. So I'm going to go over to AutoSum, and I'm going to click average. I have to check my cell reference. Notice it's B6 through B13. I can drag it down, hit enter, and my average is 27. And I can use my fill handle to drag across. So using the fill handle for these numbers, a very quick process. So AutoSum and fill handle work well together. Now we're going to go up to D4, and we're going to type in difference. So we want to find the difference between our budgeted amount and our actual. A budget amount means I set a budget. I only want to spend $35 for soap, $50 for wax, $25 for vinyl, $15 for window, and $10 for sponges and towels. That's the most I want to spend. Now, the amount column is the amount that I actually do spend when I have to wax my car. So I went out and I bought supplies. Soap cost me $28.65. Wax cost me $43.45. The vinyl cleaner, noticed, cost me $32.75, but I only really wanted to spend $25. And then the window cleaner also was more, and so was the sponges and towels. So I want to find the difference between what I thought I wanted to spend versus what I actually did. Now I'm going to come up, notice that differences, if I click, it looks like it's an E42, but notice the formula bar is blank. So I'm just going to go up here to my boundary line between D and E. I'm going to change the width a little bit. I probably want the width, if I click hold, I really want the width to be the same. So I want to see if I can get that at 1143. There we go. And I can click on my actual amount, click on the Format Painter tool, select differences, and now I have the same formatting. If I come up to my alignment section, I can go, here is my horizontal, left, center, right, and here is my vertical. I can top align, middle align, or bottom align. I'm going to check middle, and so now it sits in the middle. This formula I'm going to have to write. I want to find the difference between the actual amount and the budget amount. Now, to find the difference always means subtract. I am going to type in the equal sign in D6. Then I'm going to click on my budgeted amount. You notice up in the formula bar, it tells me it's B6. Then I'm going to hit the minus sign. Then I'm going to click on 2865. And then you notice it says C6. So I check my formula equals B minus B6 minus C6. I hit enter. And then now, remember that little fill handle? Since I'm doing the exact same thing for all these cells going down, I'm going to click that and I'm going to drag it down through 10. Now, if you notice, I'm under budget, right? Because I budgeted for $35, but I only spent $28.65, so I'm under budget by $6.35. For wax, I am under budget. I wanted to spend at the most $50, but I only spent $43.45. If I go down to my vinyl cleaner, notice I am over budget. I have wanted to only spend $25, but I spent $32.75. Because this is over budget, I'm going to come up to my font color and I'm going to select red. I want the red, and I'm going to bold it. That means I'm over budget. If I come down to window cleaner, notice that I only wanted to spend $15, but I spent $20.50, which means I'm over budget. Sponges and towels, I only wanted to spend $10. And my actual amount that I spent $12, so I am over budget. So if I put my cursor on D8 and click on my Format Painter tool, and come back down here, I can select that and it will make it all red. So to find the sum of my differences, if I click on, hit my escape here, if I click on C11, I can use that fill handle to drag across. Notice that I have a deficit, so I'm going to click on D10, click on the Format Painter tool, and select there so it shows a minus sign. Then I'm going to come up to D10. Since I added everything I want to put, we're going to do all this. We're going to select B10 through D10. We need to put a line in. So we're going to go up. We can use the underline, but instead we're going to use the bottom border. I'm going to click on that. And you notice now there's a line that runs across, separating our sum from our actual dollar values. So now if I come here and select C12, I'm going to use that fill handle and I'm going to drag across. And anything that has a negative number, if I click on any of the red cells, click on Format Painter tool, I can come down and highlight those. Now you notice because I copied the formatting in D10, it also copied my underline. So understand that when you copy formatting, it will copy everything in that cell. Well, I really don't want that bottom border, so I'm going to go up to my border drop down. I'm going to say no border. And now my border has been removed. Now, since this is the sum, I'm going to select A11 through D11. I'm going to come up to my underline and I'm going to double underline. And if I click off, and I'm going to move this down a little bit so you can see it, notice that I have a double underline under each one of those. The last thing we're going to do, notice that I have June expense budget running from B and C columns, but now since I've added a column, I want this to spread out over B, C, and D. So I'm going to select single click, drag across to D. I'm going to go back up and click merge and center. That will unmerge. And then if I click it again, it will be merge and center. So you have just finished your first practice worksheet. When you are done, call your teacher over to review it. And then you're moving on to the next video. Oh no, there's one other, I'm sorry, there's one other things we need to do. We need to insert a pie chart. So whenever I have to show differences, I want to show percentages. And so whenever I show percentages, you always use a pie chart. So we're going to go to Insert. We're going to look for our chart section. Here's our chart ribbons. We're going to find the little pie chart. We're going to click on that. And let's take a 3D pie. We're going to click on that. And notice that you have your chart. Now, notice there's nothing that's being identified in this chart. So I'm going to delete this. And now I'm going to come over and say, okay, I want my legends. These legends are the product names. I'm going to select that. Then I'm going to hold my control key down and I want to put in my percentages. So I'm going to select my differences. Then I'm going to go to insert. I'm going to go to my pie chart and I'm going to click on 3D pie chart. Now I notice my legends are here at the bottom. They're identified by color, but there is no percentages. So I need to add my percentages. So I'm going to click on the pie chart. I'm going to go over to the plus sign, and where it says data labels, I'm going to go to that arrow, click it. I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom where it says more options. And then here is my labels. I want them to contain percentages, but no value. And I don't want to show leader lines. And then I'm going to exit out. And if I look at my pie chart now, I have my percentages inside my pie chart. The last thing we're going to do is if I go to Chart Tools Design and Format, I have different tools I can use here. So let me click on this and let's say I want this style 7. I'm going to put style 7 in. Now I have changed the background. I also need to change my chart title. We should call this difference percentages. Chart titles always need a name. There we go. Now we have our pie chart in. Notice that it's showing our soaps, our products, and it's showing our differences. I'm going to click off and then go ahead and save your document and then tell your teacher to review your work. Thanks for watching.